welcome back, guys, to the channel. Another episode, another UFC verdict and betting breakdown. This weekend we've got episode 49, Cannonier versus Kelvin Gastelum. Quickly looking back though, we had a week off last week. The week prior to that, Cyril Gane versus Derek Lewis. What an event that was for the Tadpole. We had a huge collect, as big as I've seen from any capper on YouTube or other forms of media. We profited a massive 26.51 units. We finally hit the multi, first of the year. It cashed in at $20.51. In that multi we had Tisha Torres by decision, Luque by finish, Aldo at the money line, and the main event, Cyril Gane versus Derek Lewis, to not go the distance. All of those were fantastic legs, nothing to sweat on whatsoever. But it didn't stop there. We also wrapped up a 7-unit profit on our single plays. We only went 2 of 2, but heavy on Luque. Had him via finish at 3-1. And then just a little cheeky half-unit play on him via submission at $15. So yeah, it was such a great event, and within that event, my best call of the night, Vicente Luque by submission at 15.83 times. I did call it in round 2, slightly off there. It happened a round prior, but I did call a Darce choke finish. I thought it would happen on a wrestling entry. I did not think Luque would be able to find that position from a scramble on the ground, but my word, what a beast. My worst call of the night was the Black Beast, Derek Lewis. I did not want to pick it. I knew Gane was going to be the better man, but the formula, it spat Derek out, and at $4, I had to have a stab at it. That puncher's chance, it's always there for him. I'm not going to linger on it, but yeah, Cyril Gane looked fantastic. And I'm glad he finished Derek, so the multi could cash. Anyway, moving on. We have cleared up the 2021 record a bit. It's been that bad, though, that even a weekend like last time, we're still down 2.52 units. So I'm looking to get that in the green. We are right on the cusp now. I've trusted my thoughts throughout it. I've been consistent with 1-unit plays on the multi each and every week. And, we lost fucking 24 in a row before snapping that streak. It's where we make our money, Try and keep our heads above water with the single plays, and then when a multi comes in, we cash large. We only have to hit 2 a year to profit, and we've hit 1 now, so got to hit 1 more before the end of December. Trust the process. Let's hit another one this week. Bottom of the verdict card, I think it's head of the prelims. We've got Alexandre Pantoja versus Brandon Royval. Pantoja 2.52 times and $1.54. Brandon Royval 1.66 times and $2.37. What a fight, what a slating. Definitely potential fight of the night here. I fucking love Brandon Royval. He is a super entertaining fighter. He has relentless pressure. He's very active on the feet. He throws pretty much everything in combination and likes to walk forwards through stances to throw his shots. He has quick hands too, I believe, and great kicks. He's very athletic. He's a very versatile striker. If you're looking just at statistics, his UFC numbers are low, but they are heavily skewed by the Tim Elliott fight, which was pretty much just a grappling-based matchup in which he looked fantastic. Alexandre Pantoja, I need to give this guy his credit. He is an absolute stud. Likewise to Royval, he's a very versatile striker. He hammers the legs, targets the body as well, and he has big power. He definitely carries a power advantage over Royval. But with that, his volume, it does drop off. His first rounds are incredible, but after that, he can tend to lose some of his notorious aggression. He's going to stop his combination short, kind of just throw the 1-2, the 2-3. But mainly that 2, he loads up that big right hand, and he doesn't tie it all together as well as the fight goes on. Royval, he can definitely exploit that. He's going to continue to be the busier striker in there, and although he may get hit on the counter, as a result, I don't think he's going to stop. which is actually a trait both of these guys have. Pantoja, he walks through the fire to land his shots as well, which makes this such a compelling matchup. As for the grappling, both of these guys are actually some of the more entertaining submission scramblers in the UFC. Both of them so slippery and smooth on the mat, very active guards. They always look to trap or reverse or work for a finish. They transition through positions on the ground so seamlessly. If I had to choose, though, I do think Royval has the better ground game. Both of these guys are black belts. Both of them have 8 pro wins via sub. But I think Royval has slightly better control. I also rate his escapes and positioning slightly higher. And he's definitely more active when it comes to actually searching for and cinching up submission attempts. It's a super difficult fight to predict. Royval, I think he could definitely be the better positioned fighter to win this if it goes the distance. Pantoja, he can accumulate that damage, but Royval will have the volume and the cardio edge and the potential to squeeze out some advantages on the mat. But the verdict value, it all lies with Pantoja. His defensive wrestling has gotten much better. I think he's going to give Brandon some trouble on his takedown attempts. And I think that power is going to be a real factor. Kai Kara-France, he dropped Royval, a beautiful right hand. That's Pantoja's money shot. I also think the leg kicks, the powerful leg kicks are going to be there. And although Brandon's movement's sound, it's an obvious target area for Alexandre being at such a height disadvantage. So that's my pick. I'm picking Pantoja to land something big and actually finish this fight in round 1 via knockout at 11.04 times, which is a great price. He's plenty capable. He hits like a truck and he's going to start fast, potentially land 30 to 40 strikes in the first, and we just need one of them to hit sweet. As for the round play, 50% of Pantoja's knockouts come in the first. Royval, he's been finished by TKO once in his last fight to Moreno. It was a shoulder injury and he did shell up and get pounded out. So it's not really strong data, but it's there nonetheless. Next fight along, Vince Pichel versus Austin Hubbard. Pichel 2.94 times and $1.86. Austin Hubbard 1.52 times and $1.94. Vince Pichel, man, he's a strange fighter. He's old. He's 38 years old. And he doesn't have that many pro bouts. He's only had 15 to be exact. He's had really long layoffs in the past due to injury. But he's a very good fighter. He also had an extended amateur career, went 10-1 as an ammo. And as a pro, he's only got 2 losses, Rustam Khabilov and Gregor Gillespie. For those of you who don't know who Khabilov is, he's a 24-4 UFC veteran, a very good fighter who has just never been able to make a splash in the UFC due to visa issues and never being able to fight in America, which is obviously accentuated now given the global climate. Enough of that though. Pichel, he has solid striking. It's kind of rudimentary. He's not overly fast or special, but he will kick to the legs and the body. I do think that Austin Hubbard is the better striker. He's definitely more aggressive. And I also think he has the better gas tank. But Pichel is the wider set man, the stronger guy. And he has really good takedowns and a good top game to boot that focuses more on control than damage. And like I said, with that strength, he has a really good clinch game. I do think that Hubbard is a good chance to win this fight, but he has definitely shown some shortcomings in the grappling department before. When he gets offensive with his wrestling, it's good. And Pichel will potentially give up some takedowns himself, but he always seems to get it back. He takes it personal, and Hubbard has found himself on his back for extended periods in most of his UFC fights to date. And, outside of Marco Madsen, some of the grapplers that he's versed are not on the same level as Pichel. So, the way I see it is that Hubbard's minor advantages on the feet with aggression and volume are going to be far less of a discrepancy than Pichel's control against the cage and from top. So I have a Pichel decision at 4.63 times. And that's that. At these odds as well, Pichel very, very close to being a formula play. He's got a 19% perceived edge at this price, but that data, it's based on the fact that verdict underdogs cash, at a high clip when they are priced as favourites at the bookies. Looking at this fight at face value, though, where Pichel is just the moderate-sized bookie underdog, or verdict underdog, that puts him at around a 30% deficit, putting his $1.86 price tag well and truly into the no-play zone, at a negative 11% perceived edge. So it is a stay away, but I do like Pichel to win the bout. A stay away from a betting point of view, anywho. Next fight, Trevin Jones versus Seijiko Kakramanov. Trevin Jones, 1.46 times and $1.64. Kakramanov, 3.19 times and $2.20. This is a fun fucking bantamweight fight. Trevin Jones, that poor bastard, he's been trying to get a fight for a good couple months now. He's had 3 withdrawals and, late replacements for those withdrawals that have withdrawn as well. This is another late replacement opponent here in Kakramanov, the UFC newcomer, a really relatively unknown prospect. But man, this Kakramanov guy, he can scrap, and his style, I just know, is going to be a fan favourite. He is super aggressive, lightning fast hands and kicks and power. He kicks the legs, he's good at cutting off the cage and slicing angles, and then furious with combinations in the pocket. He's also a pretty good grappler. I literally have no idea of his credentials. There's no information on this man, but he has 3 pro subs, another one as an amateur, and from tape that I've seen, he has a solid top game. He keeps his shoulders quite high, but will bury his head into his opponent's neck to kind of keep them down, and then will rip ground and pound to the body. Body, head. I do feel like he's more of an opportunistic grappler, though, from what I've seen. He landed a knockdown and fell into guard, which is a bit like Trevin Jones in that sense, who also, great BJJ, but the offensive wrestling doesn't seem to be a common theme in either of their fighting styles. So if this one does play out, predominantly in a stand-up affair, who do I like? It's a tough question, Tadpole. Really tough one that you asked me there. Trevin Jones, some really nice striking, very odd angles. Go back, look at the hybrid uppercut / hook that he slept Mario Bautista with. And he has that definite killer instinct, Solid power, loves to follow up his shots. He doesn't hit the body that often, but he will kick the legs. Kakramanov, he's going to be faster than Jones. I'm pretty confident with that. And I also think he has nicer footwork. He is very, very light on his feet. And those factors are going to go a long way to breaking Trevin down. Jones can be a little sluggish for this 135-pound division. He doesn't have the best movement nor defense. And I'd hope to see Kakramanov be a little more patient than what I've seen on tape and get work off at range. Kick the body. It's always going to be there with the Southpaw v Orthodox. But he does love to crash in and unleash combinations, which is going to give Trevin Jones chances to land. Although he isn't as fast as Kakramanov, he has good timing and he can definitely crack him. It's a tough fight. I'm going with the newcomer, Seijiko Kakramanov, first round knockout, 16.78 times. I do think the decision is most likely. Trevin, he's never been slept, but the price tag here on the knockout is ridiculous, 16.78 times. Although Jones has never been slept, he was dropped in the Timo Vallier fight, and Bautista hurt him in his last fight as well. Kakramanov, very aggressive, big power. He knocked out Askar in 39 seconds, for God's sake. A guy who was 10-0 at the time, and the UFC signed him to fight Cody Stamann for his UFC debut. That fight for Askar did fall through, but it gives you a sense of what kind of level Askar is on and how closely the UFC is watching him, and Kakramanov steamrolled that boy. So I like it. Moving on. Heavyweights, Parker Porter versus Chase Sherman. Parker Porter 5.13 times and $2.47. Chase Sherman 1.24 times and $1.50. What a beautiful, low-level UFC heavyweight fight we have here. And I've said it so many times, low-level heavyweight fights, they can tend to go the decision when nobody's expecting it. However, I find it very, very hard to see this fight going to the judges' scorecards. Only 4 of their 38 pro fights combined have required the scorecards. They both hit hard as fuck. Parker Porter, I like to call him Porky Porter. He is an overweight little nugget, but he's pretty quick on the front foot, and he has some thick thighs, some thunderous leg kicks, and his cardio actually goes all right. He landed 126 significant strikes on Josh Parisian across 3 rounds, for fuck's sake. That's impressive. Very impressive. Chase Sherman, the much larger man in this matchup. 4 inches of height, few inches in reach. He has good kicks, solid volume as well. Yeah, I think I've already talked about this for too long. I think Chase Sherman wins this fight via knockout in round 1. I think he's going to hurt Porter to the body and then finish this by TKO with Porter turtled up on the ground. Sherman in his last fight went 3 hard rounds with Andrei Arlovski. He took a round in that bout, did not really look out of place. I think Andre would absolutely work Parker Porter. Chase, he looks to be a much better fighter on this stint in the UFC. He of course got cut in 2018, then won 3 in a row, and is now back in the big show. I think he can really bully Porter in the clinch. That would be the neutralizing skill for Porter as well, because he does have a ground game and submission wins on the resume, which Sherman doesn't. But Chase's takedown defense, it's 77%. That's solid. And like I said, much larger man. I think he can kind of throw Porky around when they get close, to be honest, and make it a quick night. Chase Sherman, round 1 knockout, 1.71 times. Moving on. Quick drinks break before the co-main. It's Clay Guida versus Mark O. Madsen. Guida 2.93 times and $2.41. Marco Madsen 1.52 times and $1.52. Before we get into it, why the fuck isn't Pantoja versus Royval the co-main here? That's a strange one, UFC. Anyway, Clay Guida, he is always live as an underdog. I took him against Michael Johnson in his last fight. But cutting to the chase, I'm on Marco Madsen here. It's no secret, he's a super strong wrestler, Olympic silver medalist in Greco-Roman wrestling. His grappling is notoriously good. His strength in the upper body is ridiculous. That Greco-Roman style, loves to clinch and get the body lock. And once he has it, you're going for a ride. But he has also shown us the ability to shoot double legs as well, so he can be versatile on his approach. And once down on the ground, it's his world. His top game is fantastic. So good at pinning his opponents, flattening them out, just being dominant. That is the name of the game in wrestling. Clay Guida, on the mat, he is decent. His BJJ is sound. He is super erratic and can, slip out of spots, work to his feet. But I just think he's going to have a hard time escaping O'Madsen's advances and top game. As for the striking, on the feet, Clay Guida is a dangerous guy, but he is kind of simple when you break him down. Again, like his ground game, he's very erratic. He's an erratic fighter. He has good volume, but in terms of his actual technique, he really only kicks across the legs and then blitzes in, fakes takedowns by ducking his head, feinting a level change, and then firing a looping overhand right. O'Madsen, he isn't a great striker by any means, but he has an okay jab. He can fire a couple of shots and then shoot in right underneath it, and he does manage range quite well. I think he's going to be able to avoid those advances of Clay Guida, and then when he wants to, he is very, very quick at grabbing his opponent into that clinch, into that, body lock when they enter, which Clay Guida does. It's going to be so easy for him because Clay just crashes into the pocket so recklessly. Mark, although he does manage range well, striking is obviously his second second MMA attribute, maybe not even his second, maybe his third. And his defense is average as a result. His movement's not fantastic. But I don't think Guida is enough of a technician to kind of piece him apart from the outside. He just loves to get in the pocket, and I think that's going to be his downfall. I think O'Madsen is going to take him down, hold him down, submit him in the first round. His BJJ isn't great. He is kind of learning it. Maybe that's his third skill. The fuck am I saying? But anyway, Guida, he offers his neck on so many fucking occasions, and O'Madsen's squeeze is probably almost unmatched here at 155. So the price tag on that, via O'Madsen submission in round 1, 13.12 times. He does have 3 pro subs, all chokes, all first round. Guida, as for the record books, he's been submitted 10 times in his career, which is outrageous. 60% of those in the first frame. Of course, if this fight gets extended, we see a third round. Guida, he's as good a chance as any. O'Madsen's tank is not great. Hubbard lit him up in the third frame of his last fight. And if you're given those opportunities to Clay Guida, who has cardio for days and will hunt you the fuck down late, it could get dicey. But I think Mark gets it done early. And that's that. Main event. We got here Jared Cannonier versus Kelvin Gastelum. Cannonia 1.97 times and $1.54. Kelvin Gastelum 2.03 times and $2.36. This is a fantastic main event. As for Jared Cannonier, this is the first time we've seen him for 10 months-ish. His last fight being that Rob Whittaker loss. He got beaten up pretty comprehensively in that fight. He showed heart. He broke his arm quite early, round 1 apparently, but kept going forwards, landing shots. In particular, that low kick, he landed 22 leg strikes against Rob, and they were visibly effective. It hasn't always been something that he's done, but he did it against Anderson Silva, got a TKO due to it, and then again against Rob. And I see him chewing KG up with it again here. It's such an effective strike, and he really does turn his hips into them because he knows he's got power. He is the more powerful guy in this matchup. Gastelum, he does have power that exceeds his size, and he typically can match guys at 185. But I think Jared has him covered here. The bloke is a physical specimen who used to fight at fucking heavyweight and has knockouts at heavyweight. Gastelum's always undersized. He's strong though. I love his clinch work. He was actually able to get the better of Darren Till in the clinch. And Darren Till's Muay Thai is very, very good. And then you look at Kelvin's takedowns. Gastelum's a fantastic wrestler. He has the edge there in this fight. Jared doesn't really have wrestling. He is I'm pretty confident in saying like a pure striker, and his takedown defense, it reads poorly. The thing about Jared is he's an explosive guy. And Gastelum, for as good as his takedowns may be, his control is actually pretty shit. It's still something, the wrestling is still something he can and should use in this fight because it gives him another layer. Plus it takes Cannonia off of his feet where he's going to be so dangerous. But as for the amount of time in which I think Kelvin can control Jared on the ground for, I'm not sure if it's going to be super significant. As for the striking, Cannonia, he likes to land kicks on the outside and then blitz in, which is similar to KG in that sense, although I think Gastelum's probably busier with the jab on the outside. I think the speed probably goes to Cannonia, which is strange considering he's down 2 weight classes, but that's just the way it is. But I actually prefer Gastelum's ability to string combinations together when he does commit on the front foot, Both guys move really well. I think Gastelum has the overall better defense though, and better head movement, which of course adds to his countering ability. I think he's the better counter striker. He will drop off on the back foot, kind of use his head movement to draw his opponents in and then fire back with that big left hand. He does have some pretty slick boxing. It's a tough fight, As for how it plays out, I think Cannonia is going to set the pace. I think he's going to be marginally busier. Although I don't think there's going to be crazy volume in this fight. Like I said, either guy only really throws in combination when they rush in, which I don't think they're going to do too much of once they kind of feel each other's power. I think Jared's going to land the more damaging shots, in particular the leg kicks. But Kelvin has a hell of a chin. And then I think, Gastelum's going to find success being that counter striker. Plus, then have the opportunities to go to his wrestling, however successful he may be with that. It's a tough fight. It's close, but I'm going with Kelvin Gastelum. He could get knocked out for sure. Cannonia has crazy power, but we have no reason to doubt Kelvin's durability or heart to fight through adversity. Cannonia, on the other hand, his durability has been questioned. He's been slept twice. He got dropped by Rob. And Kelvin still hits hard, I think he can counter Jared to good effect. You look at Kelvin's recent fights, he's been on a skid and results not going his way, but they've been tough fights. And you look at the styles, Adesanya, Till, Whitaker, they're all fantastic strikers who are so evasive, who fight on the outside and then pick you apart. They aren't ever there to be countered. You have to chase them, and that just works against a guy like Gastelum. Cannonia doesn't have those same traits. His strike from the outside is pretty much just a low kick, which is definitely a concern for me with backing KG, as that low kick is so effective. But apart from that, Cannonia, he loves to crash into the pocket too, which is going to give Kelvin every chance to land his shots and fight his style and bring out that elite boxing that he has. So, Kelvin Gastelum, second round knockout, 6.33 times. Crazy. 50% of Kelvin's knockouts come in the second round, hence the second frame play. The KO, some of you might be thinking I've gone mad, but Jared, he has more durability concerns than KG does. And taking Gastelum here as a pretty nice, or as an underdog on verdict, I don't hate it anyway. We know he has the conditioning to go a full 5, a full hard 5, which is something we don't really know about Cannonia. Plus, if shit does get ugly, he has good wrestling and good clinch work that could sap Cannonia throughout the fight, either leading to a later finish or a decision win. So, yeah, I don't see many people on Kelvin here, but I am. I like it. Getting into the bets now. We'll hit the single players, then we'll hit the multi. We'll fucking wrap this shit up. We have one formula play on the night. It's Kelvin Gastelum on the money line at $2.36 over there on Sportsbet. I would grab that price as soon as possible. It's a 25% perceived edge on the formula, so I like that. I like that play. I've talked through it. No need to go further. One of the other single plays, it's Kakramanov on the money line at $2.25 on Bet365. Usually I reserve my moneyline bets just for formula plays. The formula hasn't spat this one out, but I like the line. He is as short as $1.80 elsewhere. I'd grab this before the line shifts. I'm on him on verdict. I think he is a good bet here, and I think he's every chance. Of course, UFC debut, there's a lot of pressure that comes with that, but I think the late notice theme of this bout helps him in that sense. People may expect less of him and bring out that dog. The final single play of the night, Mark Madsen by finish, whether that be a knockout or a submission, at $4.33 on Sportsbet. As for the numbers, 60% of his wins are by finish, 60% of Guida's losses are by finish. I like the submission, but it's only $7. I don't mind the added security of the knockout. Guida's chin, it's solid. He's only been slept twice. He loves getting submitted, this bloke. But, if Madsen can dominate him in the wrestling, as I think he will, his BJJ, it isn't slick. So he may opt for the ground and pound route, and I'd feel like a fucking idiot if I was just holding the submission ticket and he pounded Clay out. I'd hate myself. So I don't mind the $4.33 for the Madsen finish. The multi, it's all just money lines. The props aren't out yet for all the bouts. There may be added single plays for that reason. Check the social medias, the social media accounts in the description below for to catch any added single plays. But anyway, all money lines, 5 legs, taking Vince Pichel, Kakramanov, Chase Sherman, Marco Madsen, Kelvin Gastelum, $24.05 to 1 over on Bet365. All of those legs are main card legs. I've talked about them all throughout this breakdown, so no need to harp on. I'll end it there. We've gone over half an hour. My throat's getting fucking itchy. As always, records in the description. Only down 2.52 units this year after the multi goes bang. Let's hit again. Let's get that shit in the green. Thank you for tuning in. Cadge up.